Hello everyone, welcome and Happy New Year, even though it's halfway through January. This is Angelina, and I would like to thank all of you for joining us here today for our first Smada World webinar of 2019. Just to go over a few housekeeping bits before we get started. While we do have information to update you with today, I will ask everyone to please be respectful of the fact that while you all will have many questions, when we say we don't have details, it means just that. Noel will answer the questions that we have in our Q&A at the end of the briefing period, and he'll give as much detail as he has on the subject. If a question is repeated, though, in the comments, it will not be answered a second time. So members, please pay attention to what's being asked and answered. And please also members, sorry, I apologize. If questions are repeated, members will be simply told to please wait for the webinar recording to hear the answer again. The reason why we gather here for the webinar is that so many questions can be asked and answered all in one call, and we don't want to be continually answering the same questions from multiple people. So again, respect Noel's time and the information that he is giving by paying close attention to what's being said. Also, please, again, remember to hold all of your questions and comments until we announce the Q&A period. Actually, the comment chat will be disabled until that time, so you won't be able to type them. Thank you. And once again, welcome. Very, very big welcome to all of you joining us from wherever you are in the world. We greatly appreciate your attendance and participation. So without further delay, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our speaker for today, Mr. Noel Adams, the founder of Next Level Africa and our CEO and leader of the Smada World team. Welcome, Noel.
Thanks, Angelina, and welcome everybody. Look, we finished off last year. We were hoping to have another webinar. It was so quick that I thanked everybody except the most important people to me, and of course a lot of the members is our admin team, and I do want to apologise for that because Angelina, Karen and Julie do such a great job out there that this wouldn't be possible the whole thing without them. So I do apologise for not mentioning that at the time, but there was just so much going on that I had it in notes, and when I looked at it, I realised I hadn't gone over it, because sometimes when I'm on these calls, I have my phone happening there because I'm expecting and still waiting on updates coming in on many fronts out there, and some of the things that can happen. And I'm going to share something quickly with you, and just to give you an idea that some things we seem to be getting everything happening to us, and a lot of it we just don't have the control over what's going on with it there. But what happened there during the early part of this week is that the NLA site was down, and because we have the bank and their technical teams doing things inside, just coordinating the coin with it, and we have our own techs doing things in there, I just assumed that someone was doing something in there. When I asked our techs about it, what was going on, they went and checked it, and the site had been suspended. I said suspended by the server people through, and bearing in mind, I've been paying this every month for the last 5 years. It's approximately, because we run 9 guerrilla servers to handle what we do. So I've been paying this for 5 years, so it's up around $60,000. we were suspended through non-payment. So when they told me that, I instantly got the details from our payment and sent it to them, and they apologized, came back and said that the site would be up, but it takes 24 hours to propagate. Then within half an hour we got a call from the manager of the server area, they're in Canada, our servers, apologizing and said the site will be up in 30 minutes, which they did. But all I'm trying to point out is I'm just trying to be very transparent with that. These are things we've got no control on them, and they just seem to keep popping up all over the place. So anyway, look, that's just one of the many things out there. I'm going to be covering a few things today because we haven't had a webinar for a month. There's probably a little bit more than normal, and so I'm just touching on it because we're going to be holding some specific webinars to deal with certain topics by themselves because they are quite involved, and I want to make sure that we deal with those. So just to start off with, just to mention things like BCN, and with BCN, look, they're still motoring along. They have the issue out there. You don't have to be Einstein to work it out, but they have the issue where the mining of the coin is difficult. The difficult level has gone up. Obviously, the value of the Bitcoin has gone down, but so it's just a matter of riding through this. Everyone seems to think they'll recover. So the company is still trading all right out there, and so we don't see any problem. The reason we're not promoting it at the moment because we don't want to bring people into something out there, because when we first started with Club Network, the Bitcoins were $20,000 a coin. And so now, if anyone's followed them, they seem to jump somewhere between $3,500 to $4,000 up and down the scale from there. So that's quite a big difference, and the mining has gone down to, well, 10% what was being mined. So we're on top of that. The other one, UPB. UPB, look, I just want to add to this as well. I'm really up to speed with everything that's going on with UPB, and I will tell you this, that it's not David MB's fault that this is in delay. It was something out of his control, but we are working with him to try and rectify this. Sadly, and I say this with respect, David lost his father, and he's attending to that. He'll be back next week, and so hopefully we'll have some good news in the respect of UPB for next week. But we do send the sympathy out to David and his family on that. The other one we'll deal with is Frega and WebTalk. They're the two social media platforms that we looked at. Frega, if anyone follows it, they're putting a lot of things into Frega out there. They're certainly getting on top of it. WebTalk, there's every possibility that they'll have their program up and running. That one of the issues out there seems to be a lot of scamming that goes on, and I think they're arresting that at the moment. So we're just keeping an eye on what they're doing there, but we see ourselves as being able to work in closely with both of these companies. I have contact, although I haven't recently, with their CEO, and we are looking at a joint venture, and I'll talk about that a bit further as we go. But so we are really in touch with them out there, and we have their technical team in a room in Frega where we can go to them and instantly get updates on what's going on with their platform on their hub, the social media platform. A lot of the changes in there, we've helped them with those changes, and hopefully they'll have the whole thing put together very, very shortly. So stay with us with the Frega, and as I said, it's a program I think certainly worthwhile looking at, and the mere fact that it's free to join it, it's certainly a the standout program, and the same as WebTalk. The other thing too is that we will be looking at a number of programs out there, and to do with what we're doing as well. So I don't want to bring too much into play here at the moment. I just want to try and deal with there's some of our alliance partners, because we do have some things that we'll be able to go to BCM about. And as you well know, that we're talking to UPB about using the NLA coin, and they have okayed that out there. There was some talk about them wanting to look at another coin, and they were interested in that, but they realised that the NLA coin is certainly the one that they want to have. Just one other thing I might touch on, and that's the trading in CEX. Look, over the last probably month or a bit more, there's been, look, I haven't got the exact figure on it, because there's trading in cryptocurrency being exchanged and fiat currency, but it's around the $50,000 mark, which is not a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's a a good trading exchange in comparison to exchanges. There's nothing. But the point I'm trying to make with that is people make a note there, when the exchange gets going, well, there's 50,000 reasons why it's going. The exchange is working quite well. There's a few things we need to add to it, such as things like we're putting a support system in place with it, working with the banks now to have that done, and then just trying to get some clarity on how we're going with the likes of debit cards and things like that, so we can finalise that part of it. But the exchange is trading quite well. And just to touch briefly on the Bitcoin and NLA trade. Now, and I want to make this clear as well, I'm not advising anybody what to do. I'm just giving you my idea on how I see it, that's all. So this is not, because when you're dealing with anything like this, cryptocurrency is an investment. It's like any investment out there, and people want to invest for different reasons. They may want short-term, mid-term, long-term investment. So you need to be aware of just what you want out there. So it's you can't just give one focus on doing it one way. It's got to be an individual thing out there, and then even that tailored as well, not just three ways of going about it. But I want to use an example, and right at the moment we've got, and I'm rounding this off just so that it's easy. So imagine if it's one person that's traded $4,000 worth of Bitcoin, and there are people exchanging that, wanting to exchange 2,000 NLA coins for one Bitcoin at $4,000, we'll call it. Now, it's hard to know who's getting the best deal out there, because that can only be determined when one sells the coin. Then you know what sort of a deal you've got. But right now, if somebody were to exchange, and I want to use this as purely hypothetical, I'm not saying that anyone should go about doing it. What I'm about to mention, I'm not suggesting that I'm going to do it, but I'm using a hypothetical thing. Let's supposing that I exchanged a Bitcoin, or $4,000 worth of Bitcoin, and I picked up 2,000 NLA coins. Now, because of the trading going on in there, it could have been 10 people that have done that, but I just want to use this as the example of what we're doing. So one person now, through the exchange, has 2,000 NLA coins, and one person has as $4,000. We'll just call that, for the sake of this, 1 Bitcoin. Now, because we look at this is a business out there. We look at things as a business. So if you looked at the fact you had 1 Bitcoin, and none of us can answer this, but I just want to give you something to think about, is that what is the Bitcoin likely to be worth tomorrow, or the next day, or in 30 days from now, or 60 days from now? I know it's hard to work that out, but in the last month, it's bordered around $3,500 to $4,000 for a coin. So I'm not sure if that's going to change in the next month or so out there. So chances are that that coin is, I'm going to give it the benefit of being worth the same. So certainly the next day after receiving the coin for $4,000, it's currently worth $4,000. Now I want to use the example on, imagine this, and once again this is hypothetical. Imagine if I've exchanged the $4,000 Bitcoin and I now have 2,000 NLA coins. Now because there is expenses, there are fees on purchasing Bitcoin in order to have it deposited into an exchange. There's fees on the trade in the exchange. So there are fees out there that you need to take into consideration. And with purchasing Bitcoin, you can't transfer $2 or $3 worth of Bitcoin. You can't just put $3 worth of Bitcoin into the exchange, because there's in most cases a minimum of what you can purchase from an exchange and then transfer. So let's supposing, and I don't want anyone to respond to this, I want you to think about it. Supposing I were to say, right now I've just done the deal and I've exchanged $4,000 worth of Bitcoin and I now have 2,000 NLA coins. So what I'd like to do now is that I'm going to sell my $2,000 worth of NLA coins, and I pay $2 each for them, plus expenses on that. Be the same with Bitcoin, everyone needs to pay fees. So I'm going to sell them for $3 a coin, just for this benefit of this exercise. So therefore, I can sell 1 coin to a member, I can sell 101 coins to a member. So I firmly believe that I would get some members that would be willing to pay me $3 a coin. Now, I could be wrong in some cases. Some members might think, no, I don't want to do that. But certainly I feel I could do it. Now, what that would mean is, and I happen to know I could do this, what that would mean is that I've made 50% on my investment gross. So I paid $4,000, those coins, and I get back $6,000 less expenses. And I can do that in a space of a 24-hour trade. I don't believe that the person that's got the $4,000 worth of Bitcoin could do that. So that's just an example. The other side of it is that with certain things that are coming along, that I firmly believe, and this is why I would do it out there, I firmly believe my $4,000 investment in buying the 2,000 NLA coin is going to be equivalent to, when the coins are sold, equivalent to buying me a new Rolls-Royce motor car. I know this is a hard thing to believe out there, but that's the reality of it. Even if it wasn't a new Rolls-Royce, it was just a new SUV, a Mercedes SUV at $250,000. All I'm getting at is that that's a possibility. It's not any sort of a possibility with the Bitcoin. So I'm just trying to point out that members and I had to laugh at some of the comments in the rooms, you know, because sometimes people don't know whether they're putting positive or negative comments in an area, but there was, and I'm not mentioning any names because I used to watch over here Sons and Daughters and Bold and Beautiful and all those. Now I just watch the rooms. There's more activity happening in the rooms than there are on some of those soapies. But someone pointed out to people that they've bought enough of the NLA coin at the price of $2 and the Bitcoin, and so they're ready now, and so could everyone stop it? And it had the opposite effect. It brought people's attention to it, and in that time there was another, I don't know, 6,000 or 7,000 NLA coins traded, and people thanking that person for bringing it to their attention. So all I'm saying is sometimes people don't think about what they're posting in a room, and which brings me to the point that in the investors room, the cryptocurrency investors room, it's an area out there that most people in that room have cryptocurrency, and they would like to buy and sell cryptocurrency. Now, cryptocurrency is a product, no different to a motor car, no different to any other product out there that you're wanting to sell. It simply means you exchange that product for cash at some point. Putting negative things into a room to bring people's attention to negative things in there, why would you want to do that to your product? That would be no different to you being a car salesman and someone coming along and say, oh, that looks a nice car. And you're telling them, yeah, look, sometimes it won't start. Every now and again there's smoke that pours out of the motor. You're not going to do that. You're just not going to bring up negative things on it. So why would you bring up negative things about your product? Because it is your product. When you own cryptocurrency, particularly NLA coins, they're no longer mine. They're yours. And so why would you try to put negative posts about it? Because all we seem to be doing is putting out fires where people don't realise they're putting negative posts. And one of the reasons that we stopped giving information out there is because we wanted to confirm it. And people put posts in there and put a post that might say, Noel said. Well, that should be changed. It should be Noel was told. I only pass on information here that I'm told. I'm not the programmer, I'm not the bank, I'm not any of that, and they tell us information, and because there's so many moving parts to this, something just seems to break down, and the next thing you know, we're in delay with it. So I'll move on from that, but look, just think about what you put into any of the rooms out there and read it for yourself and see whether it's positive or negative. Some people just don't know. They just simply don't know that they're putting a negative post in there. So we can certainly, and then want to argue with us or with admin when they've been asked to remove the post, want to argue why. Well, it's just because once you put something that's slightly negative, you get someone else that adds to it and someone else that adds to that. So you get a whole bunch of people that have no information. They're just adding their opinion into it, and it just goes sideways. So we don't try to address it in there because it can go worse out there. So anyway, look, I'll leave that, but just be considerate to what you put into the rooms in there. If you know, you might not be interested in selling your product, but there could be other people in there that want to be able to market their product. They're not going to be able to market it without having to explain why. Because look, new people get put in the rooms all the time. I've seen some people get added to rooms yesterday, and those people get delivered negative out there, where the person that's brought them in has brought them in with positive stuff, and then they get people that put negative things in it really don't know. Okay, look, I'll move on to the NLA with line 6 and line 7. We are back on line with that now. We're almost completed. The only thing that we need to do on line 6, there are a couple of accounts there that the members supplied the same email address, and it's been mixed up with the e-commerce. It wouldn't allow those accounts to be opened. So our programmers are doing those, and they'll complete them. When they're completed, I'm hoping that's going to be, when I say tomorrow, sometimes I mean today, because I could be talking to someone and it's 11 o'clock in the night for them, but it's already the next day for me, and they say tomorrow. So later on today, which could be tonight my time, that should be completed. So once that is, I'm going to sign off on line 7 and have line 7 go in there. The other thing too is that blockchain. Look, with the blockchain, I paid for the blockchain 4 months ago. I keep getting told it's going to be up by the weekend, it's going to be up by the weekend. I have absolutely no idea why it's not up. We've done our bit and paid for it. We don't do the programming on it. So I'm going to be chasing that up again. I try to chase it up every day, which is annoying me out there when people tell you that something's going to happen and it doesn't. So hopefully I can get that sorted out. We are getting on top of a lot of things out there. And also the Chingling wallet. That's been promised to be sent to me every day now for the last month. So I'm going to be chasing that up. Not that it matters too much with CEX on what we're doing there with the NLA wallet, but some members, including myself, have Chingling coins, and we'd like to see them staking and see our wallets working. I'll move on to what I mentioned before about the e-commerce and social media platforms. I'm only going to touch on this because we are just finalising some things now with doing up some presentations and what we'll be doing. The bank will be signing off on that for me probably later on today, because London don't come online now for another 12 hours or so. So they're looking to sign off with that. Now, what we'll be doing is setting up offices in South Africa, the US and Australia, and we'll be manning those offices for total global presentation out there for support in it. We are going to be building the e-commerce and social media platforms. As I mentioned to you before, we now have a pool of over $40 billion, and we're expecting for a couple of $1 billion to be added to that every month. Now, that's the sort of target I've got. I want to be handing out in this program as well. It's going to be quite a large venture that we're going into, so we'll be certainly looking at that. Because look, we will hold, once I get a few more things put to bed, we will hold a special webinar meeting just to, I'm trying to work out how we're going to roll out the link for the e-commerce platform out there. I've got a few things I've been discussing with admin about it to make sure I'm on the right track, because look, what we've got covered, we've got covered the humanitarian program that we're running in the way of the bank have allocated that $100 billion a year to the humanitarian projects we've got. What I'm actually looking to do is to have the e-commerce social media platform with income coming in from that to cover the 2 groups that I feel are important to us to cover. And one of them is the charities. So we can look at our many charities that we have involved, and of course the independent crowdfunding projects where people are trying to raise money for educating their child, holidays, whatever it is out there. So I'm going to be looking at this e-commerce platform with it being able to raise funds on an ongoing basis for us to be able to donate to these various groups. So I want to be able to cover humanitarian charities and individual crowdfunding projects that members will have out there. And in doing that, we should have quite a bit covered. So I want to try and work, because what we'll be doing when we first launch the e-commerce platform, and once again, I'm trying to work out how to do this so it's fair to a lot of the members out there, and I guess that you can never get it 100% correct for everybody. But once we do that, we launch it, I will no longer use the company link for anyone to sign up on, because this is going to be a uni-level where it'll run wide as you want it to run. So therefore, once we launch it, I don't want the company to be in competition with any of our members out there, so that because people can look to sign on to the company because they feel they get on the company's front line, it's advantageous to them. But that won't happen once we launch. So it'll only be the NLA members that have the benefit of being frontline to the company. And then once we move through the global audience out there, they'll be wherever they finish up landing in the various members, because we do know that we're going to have a lot of retailers that want to bring their customers into this, because they get paid if their customers join, and their customers get paid to join. So we're going to have a lot of people wanting to bring businesses into this. So we'll go over that once we do all our videos and stuff. And in doing that, we'll retouch on, because this is going to be in conjunction with our magazine. I need to go back and talk to our developer on that as well. So Lou, I apologise for not coming back, but I've been tied up with trying to get some other major things completed. But this will be all part of it, so that we can record in the magazine. There are things in there I want to record, which will be where we distribute the various funds that we'll have coming in, and where that will be allocated and who receives it, such as humanitarian charities and individuals for that matter, and be able to highlight a few of the projects that we feel are worthwhile members looking at and trying to look after. Well, I guess that the main one now is the last one I'll deal with will be, I guess that you've guessed it, it's called the investors. Now, because we've had, once again, I get information, and believe you me that the people that give me the information now, they're holding it back from me until they're sure. And the people they get it from, they're holding it back until they are sure. Because everyone is passing the buck back. Why did you tell me this? So it's really an area out there where I'm reluctant to give times and schedules on this, but I'm going to give you a little bit of an idea as to where we're going with it. Now, as you probably know, that we lost some of the investors. There's a group there that will come back in later on when it's going to get going. Another group went off on a 42-day investment plan with the bank, which is now halfway through, incidentally. So we're sort of down to 20 odd days left to go on that out there. Then we've got another group that have remained with us that represent, look, I'm roughly giving this figure, about $1 billion that they're going to be purchasing the NLA coins with. We have a meeting tomorrow. I say tomorrow, but it's actually later on my time today. So we have a meeting with the main player, with the investors out there. So it's just a meeting for a bit of Q&A that he'll be asking of what's going on. Then next week there is the main meeting with the group of investors that are left. That meeting will take place in the early part of the week, and what the meeting is all about, because as you well know, the funds are in not in the asset account yet. The bank have it in a holding account, and what needs to happen is that the investors, and look, we could have brought them together. There was a couple of them still there, but the majority of them, because these guys have families, they aren't just normal people out there, apart from having a lot of money, I guess. And these guys will have been away for the Christmas break, so they're all back now. And so this meeting will take place, and when the meeting takes place, they will be helping them. We've got the broker involved with it in the States, and if necessary, the bank will be sending a representative out there as well for the investor group there to simply put their purchase order in for duck. Now, you know how that works. You've got to fill out the form in the exchange so that you can. So we've got a paper trail, and then when that's filled out, it's married up with the deposit of the funds, which are already there, and then that is converted to duck, and we put into the exchange, and then from that the investors will start purchasing the NLA coin. So just to make sure you understand that, there's no, to my knowledge, look, there could be the odd one that does it because of their independence, they can do what they like, but the investors will buy just using duck. I mean, I don't believe you'll see any investors there using Bitcoin to do the Bitcoin trading, so they'll just purchase the NLA coins using the duck. So, and I think that when you see that happen, is that I firmly believe this is going to be getting towards the last time that you'll see any NLA coin going for that price. I mean, a lot of people are thanking the people that have parted with their coins for $2. And bearing in mind, no one's losing any money on that, because in most cases, I should imagine that the people that are exchanging the NLA coin for $2 have either been paid them in commissions, so they've got them as part of their commission structure, or back in the early times we allowed members to buy the coins for $1. So you know, the people selling the coins for that, they're not losing money. They're possibly losing money on what the coins could be worth, but they're not losing money on their actual trade that they're doing. So look, that's where we are at the moment. Anything you think that I haven't covered or information I haven't given you there, it's probably because two reasons: because I can't give it to you at the moment, and secondly that I just simply don't know. So I'm going to turn this over to Angelina now, and to coordinate any questions that maybe members want to ask, and I'll try to answer what I can. So thank you for being part of the webinar, and I'll hand this over to Angelina.
Thanks, Noel. That was a lot of information once again, and we're really looking forward to the next steps next week. We do have a couple of questions coming in, and actually one of the questions that I can answer right off the bat is why are we planning to move forward to line 7 when line 6 is still having an issue with one of its components? Well, one of the components that Noel was mentioning was the e-commerce issue, where people had submitted the same email for 2 accounts, and that is being corrected and should be corrected by the weekend. We should see that. So please go ahead and post your comments, questions in the chat now. And Noel, the first question that we have is actually a support question, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer it or not, but it comes from Tom. So I will hand the mic back over to you, and thank you everyone for your comments and questions and support, and back over to you, Noel.
Thanks, Angelina. And Tom, look, line 6 is saying it has no functioning email verification. We're going to be dealing with all of any little issues we've got with them, because one of the reasons this has been so long, we could have just simply sidestepped any members out there that we couldn't get sorted out and just moved on to line 7. But we're making sure that every single account has been done, and it's been a part thing out there where some of it has been my fault, but we are dealing with a whole range of things, and the email verification is one of them that we'll be looking at getting in place. So getting the, remember this, that when we do open up line 7, it means that all line 6 accounts have been upgraded. So so we're suggesting as well that people on line 5 should be doubly aware, because once we put line 7 in, we have no idea whether some of these members will upgrade to package 2, and if you're not upgraded to package 2, you'll get skipped. Just reading through some of the comments that people are very happy with the update, and look, once again, please, the ones that do post the negatives and where are the investors, all that type of stuff, don't put that into the rooms. It's bringing attention to it out there. That's why I'm not putting in. I've been given dates when this is going to happen, but I don't want to put. Once I put a date out there, people then coming back, why didn't it happen then? So we're just talking about it happening next week. So James is asking about line 7 being in there over the week. If I get them to fix the e-commerce, which they told me they will, later on today, then I will release the OK to put line 7 in there. Yeah, what program is WebTalk trying to get up and running? Well, it's called WebTalk. That's the program. So someone may give you a link to that if you don't have one. So we're just having a look at it up there, and then there's a number of reasons why we're looking at it. So here's a good one. We've got Nigel. And remember this, Nigel's a drummer, so I could come up with anything. Can the date for next update be projected at this juncture? Next Thursday, perhaps? Why not? Yeah, look, this will depend on when we get an update out there, Nigel. It's I can't predict when it is. If I've got nothing to say, I don't want to hold, because you know what I'll do. I'll hold a webinar just tell drummer jokes. So I really don't know. When we get information that we feel is worthwhile having a webinar, then we'll have the webinar. I haven't got any new drummer jokes. I've been asked to speak a bit louder. If you have a look, I'll see what I've got here that I can turn my volume up. Perhaps that's a little bit louder. But if you can make sure your volume is turned up to max, you might find it's easier. But I've turned everything up to maximum on my end, so maybe some people have got to turn down. So, I know, does that next week meeting mean the technical issues before Christmas, as our 504 error is fixed now in the CX, so the investors can actually trade? I think that's been fixed since Christmas, really. I'm not even sure what that issue was all about. I forget now. We've covered some of it, but exchange. We're talking about the wallets. I think the wallet, the link wasn't on the wallet. That should be it should be there now. But they've got their wallets. So if there's still an issue with that, but it shouldn't be. It should be all fixed up there, I believe. Arlene, if line 6 and 7 are going in really soon, we'll be able to move excess monies from accounts to the C wallet. I'm saying that you mean by excess coins from accounts to the C wallet and then to CX. Look, we are looking to, in fact, 3 months ago, I put on 2 new servers to manage the withdrawals of coins from NLA to C wallet. So I'm following that through to find out why they haven't got that working out there. Look, the banks wanted to do reconciliation on all the coins to make sure that it was balanced correctly. They should have done that by now. So I will be following that up because, as I said, I'd be paying for 2 new servers out there to manage that component. So I'm hoping that's something ready to go. Rena, how does it go with the promo accounts for BCN? I'm thinking, I mean, the accounts, but they've been allocated. All those accounts, we've got them listed, and those accounts that will be going on to line 6 out there will all be allocated to them. Some of them have, some of them we couldn't because we were just waiting on certain members that wanted to either hold or forfeit their accounts. But all members will receive those accounts, so don't have any worry with it because the accounts are there. So it's not as though we've got to add the accounts are already there, so any coins that they accumulate will go to those members on there. John, hello, my name is John. Where can I buy the old accounts to be in level 5? I'm not 100% sure what you mean on that, John. But I'm trying to word this correctly out there, but it might be for another webinar because I don't want to start on this one. But really, there's no accounts left you can purchase on line 5 unless someone wants to sell one out there. So I think on line 5, I just want to point this out that anyone with an account on line 5, I should imagine for this year their income will be in excess of $1 million on line 5. So if you're wanting to buy an account on line 5, John, I think you better get a pretty big checkbook out. I don't know if you're going to just buy one for I mean, I think you'd be talking in the tens of thousands of dollars that someone would want to part with an account that's going to pull in $1 million for them. But that's not up to me, it's up to the individual that own the accounts. Here we go, I'm just going to read this one first. Oh, look, okay, pointing out there that it might still show in some of the old, which we need to go right through all of it, is that in the server it shows in the packages, topics at crowdfunding projects, shows a package fee of 15 Chingaling. Remember this, that our first coin that we used out there was Chingaling. That was our first coin. So some of the information is still out there with the Chingaling on it, but that's definitely all NLA coin that we're using, not Chingaling. Okay, well, it must have been my volume was down a bit too much there. All right, I apologise on that. So usually I go to max. Look, I do my training wheels back on to come into this webinar. When you don't use it all the time, you tend to, what have I got to do next? I do want to thank everyone for putting positive comments in here about, because there is a lot of work that's going on in the background. It's a very big operation, and once we start looking at all the components that we've got going there, it's not an easy one just to get decisions on it, and people that sign off on things, it goes back to another department, and they've got to change or add something to it, so it's got to go back to the other department, and because of the time delay, global time differences, it can be a couple of days just getting something done that could be done in an hour. If someone's asleep and they've got to wait for them to wake up, and then it goes back and then wait for that person to wake up, all of that. At least all the gifted positions. No, we've done a few different promotions on the BCN. So there are some on line 6 and some of them are on line 9. So depending on the promotion as to what we had going out there. Admin have got full details of who is on, is line 6 and so on. So we've got all of that covered. I think Ray is saying the problem was only in the USA. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's exactly right on the error message. Thanks, Ray. There's been that many things happen out there that I sometimes forget where we're, because I'm dealing with things that have come along that are fairly new. Stephen's asking about this Windows 10, that the latest update is stopping the wallet from running and stuff. So this will be something that we're handing back over to Jamie. As you know, Jamie, he looks after the wallet issues there, so he'll have to deal with that. Obviously, this is an ongoing thing with any new updates on Windows out there, with any programs that are running or not running. So we'll get an update on that, Stephen, to see what Jamie can do. I'm sure he'll do something to rectify it, and or hope for a new Windows 11 maybe, so that they can get rid of all of that. Yes, we certainly did pay the servers there, right? But that's all I'm trying to point out, is these are the things that come up that you wouldn't dream that you had to deal with, and all of a sudden they are dealing with. We've been paying them for 5 years every month, and they tell us we didn't pay them. So it didn't take us long to come up with the documentation they needed, and didn't take them long to rectify it once we showed them. Yeah, would there have been consequences for everyone if the problem accounts online have been sidestepped? It's just the accounts above them. That's all. I mean, getting the immediate accounts above them. So we should have that in place by once again. There's only, I think there's five accounts left out of that whole thing where the e-commerce is affected, so someone could be affected by that if they haven't been paid on their first line. So that should all be fixed, and members should have the coins in their account. We will rectify anything we need to rectify on a case-by-case in admin if someone gets skipped for no fault of their own. So this is why it does take us a bit longer, because we're trying to make sure that nobody in NLA suffers any consequence because of issues going on with programming and time delay on things out there. We realise it's not the members' fault on that. Yeah, look, the member support, Andrew, you're going down the same road. There's a lot of things in there that might have the Chingaling attached to it, but replace that with anything in there with NLA. All right, so let's put that one to bed. NLA, not Chingaling. Valerie's asked what kind of income can be expected in 2019 on line 7. There's too many variables on that. It would be extremely hard to be able to answer that correctly. I mean, you've got to use your own discretion, and I'd have to ask you what's the price of the coin going to go to, and how many people. We are up to 50,000 members now, and when I open this up, because you can't sign up on Next Level Africa yet, when we open it up, believe you me, we've got tens, if not hundreds of thousands ready to sign up. So I should imagine that anyone, whether it be line 7 or line 9 in the system now, will receive quite a nice income for this year with the amount of new members we've got coming in. Matthew's asking me about the Chingaling coins when they start trading. That's sort of out of our hands. Maybe I have no idea on that.
It looks like we lost Noel. I apologize. Give him just a minute to realize that he might have hit a button, the wrong one. Oh, he's back. I will hand over the mic.
Sorry about that. No control my end. It was just the I got booted out by the gremlins that lurk about in these programs. I think I've covered look, I've mentioned there, Jenny's asking about line 5 accounts being upgraded to package 2, and I should imagine that they should upgrade to package 2, because when line 7 goes in, if those people upgrade to package 2, you will get skipped. So that's up to the individual, of course, if they so we'll be. But remember, before the line 7 goes in, all line 6 will be completed. So anyone on line 5 that hasn't received their line 6 commission will receive them. I'm not sure about, Andrew's asking me things about there's a new gold coin card that is linked to making 1 gram, so I really don't know anything about that. Gold. I'm just trying to stay with some of these questions. Here they go, coins will be sold by the end of the month. Phil's asked that. Well, once I put comments on things and put dates on things out there, then people tend to hold me responsible for it. I can only tell you what I think, and this is all I can tell you, is that I believe you'll see activity next week. That's what it's people have been telling me, but they told me that the week before and the week before that, although over the last couple of weeks the investors have been on their Christmas break, so we're going to have some activity going on there probably in the next, where are we? Probably in the next seven days or less. That should give me a little bit of breathing space before I see the negative comments come into the rooms, I guess. Will the package prices be modified for 4, 5 and 6, 6? Yes, of course they will. Yeah, James, will be going right through the packages, because you can't upgrade to package 4, 5 or 6. Yet we'll be addressing all of that, so they'll be corrected out there, and actually the packages will be changed as well, so we'll be doing a whole changeover on that. I mean, look, mind you, that the appearance of the NLA site is not something that I particularly like, and I don't think anyone does. So we'll be going right through the entire site. I mentioned before there that it's the back office, the back section that we're building. What the appearance is called the front office. So it's the back office that we want to get happening out there. I've related it to building a motor car. And you do a lot of your work, and then you start putting all the chrome stuff around the outside. That's the finishing touches to it, because there's a saying in the motor world that chrome don't get you home. And so all of the finishing touches will start coming in there once we're happy with we've got the back office completed out there. Maybe you didn't hear my answer because I was cut off. The trading of jingling, I believe, maybe you asked about. I really don't know on that. That's up to the banks and what they will do on that. But I should imagine it's not too far away. They want to take everything into the exchange. We are talking to them about us having the jingling in our exchange only. So if that happens, we'll be promoting the jingling quite heavily ourselves. Yeah, look, the gold card, I can't answer them. I just told you I have no idea. So I'm not looking at them at the moment. We're trying to do other things there. Nigel, you sometimes have a fairly accurate idea as to the next NLA coin valuation. Do you have any beyond 322.60 at the moment? I haven't been told of any there, Nigel, but you will see it. And I believe it'll probably be next week, if not, it could be at the end of this week. But they don't, unless I ask, they don't always tell me, because it's something that happens and will happen at least twice a month. How long do I think before line 6? Well, I'm hoping to get that finished later today, in the next 24 hours. With the it's the e-commerce. That's all. We just want them to change email addresses in there. We've supplied them with new email addresses. They need to change it in there so that the members can log into their accounts and upgrade them. We'll assist them where possible. So we'll push for that to be done there. I've just been reminded we're getting close to the top of the hour. I've answered the price rise on the coin. Look, it will happen twice a month, so there should be another price increase coming in shortly, I should imagine, but I haven't been officially told. Andrew's asking, is there a way to see the questions in here? The answer is no. No. You wouldn't believe this. We have some fruitcakes that ask questions we don't even read. Because it's just, we've got more control in here. We don't have control in the rooms. People can do things, and so we don't want some of the crazy questions going on there. So we'll monitor what gets put in, then we'll let people know about it from there. Okay, look, we're just getting people thanking us now, and we do appreciate. I do appreciate everyone for turning up. We've had a record amount of people on this call, and I can understand that. And we will call webinars for next week, dealing with a couple of areas particularly to do with the trading on the exchange. If that happens, as soon as we see it happen, we'll instantly put together a time for a webinar and just deal with that. Not all the other odds and ends, just deal with the trading on the exchange and just what we need to do. And we are working on that, getting the coins to be able to be withdrawn from. Look, once the trading starts on the exchange, it's not going to stop. You'll see things all happening out there. Oh, Nigel, you're a funny man. Calling me Mr. Donald Trump, that's suggesting that NLA is no fake news. I pinch a lot of my jokes from drummers. They're funny people. All right, look, I'm going to hand this back to Angelina to close it up. We probably get into too much trouble. Thank you again, everybody, for turning up, and once again, a big thanks to admin for being part of this whole operation out there. Okay, back to you, Angelina. Bye, everybody.
Yes, thank you, everyone, once again, for coming out and joining us and asking your questions. Please watch the Skype rooms and Facebook for new updates, and we will be seeing you again shortly on a new webinar. Have a great day, evening, wherever you are. Thanks again. Bye for now.